Hello everyone, and welcome to my dissociative identity disorder. My name is Chad Miller. So there's really a lot that needs to be discussed in this episode, and I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. However, I need to hit on some major points in regard to what is currently going on with my mental health. First things first, I've gotten rid of the bells and whistles of making this a part of the Red and Slim Productions channel. And the reason that I've decided to do that is because there have been accusations on social media about how I've made these videos more of a production instead of something educational and informational. And that's not a stigma that I want attached to this aspect of the channel. I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again and again and again. I don't trifle with this stuff. This is not me being attention seeking or woe is me. It is a part of my legacy in life. And I do think that these sorts of things just really need to be talked about and understood, and this is my way to give people some education, even though I'm not a professional, even though it's through my experiences. I think it can help somebody somewhere along the way. And that's why I want to do this. That's why I continue to do this. So kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty of what this episode is going to be about is there have been some interesting revelations that have happened over the course of the last almost 2 weeks in my life. Just to kind of give a little backstory that I know that I've talked about. My mother and I haven't always had the closest relationship. And for a while it was very tumultuous, and given time, things had improved and things have gotten better. And there's been certain dynamics within the entire family that were very dysfunctional, and I had hoped to grow out of that, especially as I've gone through this situation and going through therapy and things like And a while ago, my mother and my husband were FaceTiming each other. They have a really good, strong relationship. I happened to have been switching at the time, and my husband thought it would be interesting to introduce my mother to that altar. And while it took some time for him to tell me about that, I was upset. My mother knows very well what I go through. She has not experienced it firsthand, and my husband basically said that he would much rather introduce her to my switching over FaceTime than for the first time, rather than in person. So after I found out, I called and talked to my mom, and as I kind of mentioned, we haven't had the strongest relationship. It has definitely gotten better over the years. And this is a tough subject to talk about. Probably, I believe, the second most difficult conversation I've had with her since coming out as gay. And so I told her, I said, we need to be absolutely candid with each other about how we're feeling about this. If there's concerns, if there's just raw emotion, feelings, that kind of thing, we have to be completely open and honest. And that's something that we've been building on over a number of years. And I just felt that there should be no exception to the rule in regards to my mental health and DID, especially since I've been struggling with it long before I've gotten to the place where I am now. I have an aunt who has struggled with mental health issues most of her life, and I can't speak for the rest of my family. I can only make my own assumptions, and also, talk about my own feelings about it. And this primarily took place throughout the 80s and the 90s, so mental health wasn't talked about. And it was either categorized and pushed off, or just let go by the wayside. And that is kind of what happened with her. And to this day, we don't know where she is, if she's still alive, if she's still thriving. It was quite a few years ago that there was an attempt made to get in contact with her personally that did not pan out. And every once in a while, I'll kind of go online and search for an obituary to see, just in case. Because now I have a more broad understanding of some of the things that she went through. And myself, in the time that she was going through a lot of the crap that she was going through, I wrote her off myself. I mean, she had, you know, a couple suicide attempts, and it angered me enough to say that, you know, if you're gonna do it, just do it, you know. And it was harsh. Now, having been in a place where I have felt suicidal, and dealing with the things that are going on with me mentally, I have a greater appreciation of her struggles, and wherever she is in existence, I just wish her all the best. So, oh, I gotta try to pin all this down as quickly as possible, because I just don't want to make this a long video. So for a bit of time, I lived with my mom, and she was dealing with rheumatoid arthritis really bad. At that point, she didn't have insurance, so she wasn't able to be on any medication or anything like that. So I was helping her out, in which, you know, she was also helping me out at the same time. I was working full-time job. It eventually came to be that I was also partially taking care of my grandmother at the time. So there was a lot on my plate, and I also wasn't in a good frame of mind, so it was a very, very dark place for me. And eventually my mom found a way to get insurance, start getting some help for her RA, and my grandma eventually was taken to a place where she could be taken care of, so there was a lot of that weight lifted off my shoulders. So it got to the point where I was able to eventually try to become a strong, independent person. But in the midst of that time, I was very lonely, and I didn't have a lot of time to really search out the things that I wanted in my life. And through social media, there were a few people that I encountered that brought some meaning to my life, and kind of brought joy to my life, and a bit of meaning and some excitement and joy, and it was really nice. And one of them happened to be somebody that I became emotionally and romantically involved with, and it was long distance. And there were a brief few meetings that I had with these said individuals, and that was fine for me, because there was just so much going on in my life that, you know, it is just, I just had to take it for what it was worth. And then, you know, things change, things happen. As I said, eventually, you know, my grandma got to a better place, my mom got to a better place, and that left me by myself. And by this point, the romance that I had previously amicably ended. And I was able to meet my now current husband, and my mental health was declining, and living in Michigan at the time, resources were very limited, and I went through evaluation after evaluation after evaluation, especially feeling very suicidal, not wanting to leave my apartment, and I was in a very, very, very bad place, and it eventually, I just didn't want to go to my job anymore. I applied for FMLA, but at this point, you know, I had Derek, and push comes to shove, I was going to be evicted because I couldn't pay my rent. So Derek rescued me, and it's a shame that the mental health industry in Michigan wouldn't do anything for me, despite these reasons of wanting to cause harm to myself and whatnot. So so I moved back down here to Indiana, where I lived before, and slowly we began to look into mental health programs down here after a very severe situation happened, and that's when I got diagnosed with DID. And so going along with all that, it's been a long road, a road that, you know, I've documented on social media from time to time, discussing what DID means to me, what it's done to me, what it's done to my family, meaning Derek, and the like. So, just recently, I celebrated my 46th birthday, and we traveled back up to Michigan to celebrate with my mom, who's doing so much better. And she has this wonderful best friend who likes to come over and spend time with us whenever we're there, and she's friended us on social media. However, she kind of had to take some steps back because she's, I think, a little petrified and a little understanding or misunderstood about DID. So it's kind of hard for her. But, you know, that doesn't mean she doesn't love us any less. So, you know, whenever we're there, she comes over, and we generally have a good time. However, I did happen to switch. And this is the first time that I've switched in front of my mother. So it was encouraged to lay down, take a nap. So when I woke up as me, it was kind of that time to say, well, you know, it's been fun, but it's time to head back home. Excuse me. And on the way home, something was brought up to me by Derek, and he was very upset. And so he talked to me about it, and the more that I got to thinking about things, it was about that dark period in my life, and the association that I had with the guy that I was formerly involved with, and everything that came along with that. And he asked if it was real. Of course it was real. Or so I thought. So he asked me some pertinent questions, and I couldn't answer them. So that has opened up a whole other can of worms, because after getting home and trying to process what that situation meant, I did some digging into the files that I have on my computer, and started plugging in email addresses and old passwords that I would try to remember, and some of them clicked. Some of these people didn't exist. That means a vital part of my life that I thought was real wasn't. It was all in my head. And that means there's another part of mental illness that I have. That needs to be diagnosed. And on top of that, there have been other situations recently, where I've had verbal conversations with my late grandmother. One of my altars has relayed that they have spoken to Derek's late father. And the idea of co-consciousness with my altars the situation with my alters is I know that they're not real people. They're fractured aspects of my personality. The idea that I built this world in my head at some point that I felt was real disturbs me immensely because it affects people that I know, including some family members. And the thing is that stuff felt real. Very real. And there are glimpses of memories that I have that obviously didn't happen. So, so that's where things are kind of standing at this point. My next therapy appointment is on Monday, where I get to talk about this with my therapist, and in which she'll talk with my psychiatrist, and hopefully I'll have another psychological evaluation done to see what this is going to mean and where to go from there. Because if it is what everybody is thinking that it is, which I'm just going to throw out the word schizophrenia, that is debilitating and it doesn't get better. Whereas DID, that could be with me my entire life if that's the only thing that I had going on with me mental health wise. So I just need to let anybody who watches these videos, and it's not many, and I appreciate those who do watch, but this is not attention seeking. This is not about getting views or trying to go viral. This is a part of my legacy, and I'm still gonna continue to, post videos about my toys, whatever else I do here on Red and Sun Productions. I'm excited to get back into yoga soon, as I underwent knee surgery recently and things are getting better. So I can start practicing that again because I miss that so much. But I took down, or I quit the bells and whistles from the segment of the channel because, yeah, it did tend to lead to the fact that it was just another staged production. But it's not. And I think things are about to get a lot more real. But I'm just going to let you know I'm going to be 100% honest with everybody. because mental health is no joke. There's still a lot of steps that need to be taken in order to understand, accept, educate, inform, and if in any way at all possible, what I do here can help that. That's what I want to do. So I thank you for watching. Love and light to you all.